so I get it, I do. Costuming, more importantly armor, that's super intimidating. It seems like there's so much to it and it can go wrong so easily, but it's not as difficult as it seems. Oh, by the way, I'm Hawk. I make props and costumes. And I'd like to show you how I do this. So maybe you can take a couple of key points. Even if you're not making armor, you're making other costumes, hopefully you can grab something from this and take it with you. And this is almost an entire set, well, this is an entire set of clone trooper armor. It's not necessarily the armor we're working on, but it's the base of the armor we're working on. And all of this can seem super intimidating. So we're going to break it down piece by piece. So with all the distractions away, this is what we're left with. 3 pieces for the back, 5 pieces for the front. Doesn't matter how good the arms look, how good the legs look, if the chest and back don't fit, that's the base of the costume. Let's go over the pieces. They're 3D printed in PETG. I split the pieces. I put a bunch of alignment holes, thinking I was bright. The holes are barely there. They're not really doing anything. They're not going to work for alignment. I should have made something else. Not quite sure what else I should have done, but here we are. When I cut these, I tried to make sure all the seams would be in places that would be relatively hidden. So we're just going to start by gluing these 2 pieces together. And I'm using standard clear PVC glue. This stuff works really, really well on most plastics, actually. And all I'm going to do, put some on both seams and then clamp the heck out of it. I'm also going to do the same thing to the bottom half, which is in 3 pieces, because I didn't want a seam going all the way down. I wanted to stagger my joints just for a little bit of strength. So all of these are going to get glued together, clamped together, and then we'll glue the 2 halves together. This stuff is no joke. It's relatively toxic, and this is winter. Have nothing open, no way to air everything out easily. So I'm going to have a respirator on. You're not going to be able to hear me. You know, while I have the glue out, I'm going to do the same thing to the back. The back has these 2 pieces. We're also going to glue these 2 together. I've had better glue ups. I've also had worse. It's not perfect. Again, neither am I. So it is what it is. Fortunately, this piece here split open. So I'll have to re-glue that. That's not that big of a deal. Luckily, I have a new tool in the arsenal. It's a plastic welding gun. This thing. Right? It's got 2 probes that stick up. And you put these metal tabs in it and you squeeze the trigger and the little piece of metal gets super hot. It's like a stapler for plastic. Let me show you on the back plate. See, the staples have these squiggles. Probably can't see, but it's got this kind of an S-looking thing. You pull the trigger, and it melts the plastic and puts that little squiggle in between this seam. So that seam ain't never coming apart. Kit came with these adorable little snips. And that's what's next. Is we just wearing glasses, safety preferably, because these things fly. We snip all these little tabs off. It does leave a little barb that we'll probably have to sand down. But this is now way stronger, and I'm not even remotely worried about it falling apart. It's starting to look like a thing. Check that. That's awesome. Everything lines up. That is pretty neat. I really like that. But before we do anything, the next step is to sand the whole thing. Some people have weird hangups when it comes to sanding. Some people like a foot-operated sander. Some people like operated foot sanders. I'm not gonna harsh anybody's mellow. If that's the way you want to do it, then that's the way you want to do it. For me, orbital sander at 220. I'm just gonna sand everything. I don't know where I am with these gaps until everything's a little smoother. Everything lines up pretty okay. Of course there are seams, there will always be seams. So I'm just gonna use glazing putty for all of these larger cracks, right? I'm just kind of smearing it on now. We'll smooth it out in a minute. The back panel is actually really good. Front panel's got some gaps. I'm trying not to get into these cracks and crevices. There's details here that I want to maintain. Luckily it's a clone, and clones are weathered. The Robotechs, the Veritech helmets, they are not weathered. They're clean. The Mospeada, the whole armor is nice and sharp. Were I doing a Zentradi? Yeah, they probably have a bit of weathering. That's all that means. This one, on the other hand, has got a couple of big spaces. So I'm just filling in all of those holes. We'll probably put glazing putty and acetone, but right now I'm just filling in all the gaps. And I'll probably do 2 or 3 coats of this and sand in between, of course, until I get it somewhere I'm kind of happy with it. And then we'll go over glazing putty and acetone. Here, check this out. It's the chest plate after the first sanding. And see how we've got dark... Here, let's see if we can zoom in a little bit on that. You see how you have the dark and then the light? The white there is the PETG, and the dark is the glazing putty that didn't sand away. Which means it goes to low, then back high, and then down again. Which makes sense since it's a seam. So I have to sand that till it's smooth. But if you look over here, see I've got this area right here that's really dark. That means the sandpaper hasn't touched it yet. So I need to even the whole thing out a little more. When you 3D print a thing, it tends to, on the build plate, it kind of smushes the first layer. And this was the first layer, and this was the first layer, because these are two butted together. And it creates a very high point that I need to sand down to get to smooth. So I'm using those visual keys to tell me when I'm done sanding. I'm probably going to have to put another coat that's a bit wider than the first coat, so when I sand it, it smooths everything out again. But I'd say we're probably 2 more things of glazing putty away from thinning it with acetone. This scraper is one of the most useful tools I own. It's flexible, but it's got kind of a hard edge, so it can do some interesting things. So mainly, it can bridge and keep an even contour, right? Put a little dab down, slide my card scraper along it, and it feathers the difference. I've gotten it to where I'm happy with it. It's relatively smooth. I can still feel a little bit, but I won't know until I cover everything. To do that, acetone and glazing putty. Glazing putty dissolves in acetone, and it's much easier to coat an entire thing in a very, very thin layer. The way a 3D prints are done, that you've got all your layer lines, and because of the surface tension, it's all going to pool inside the crevices of the surface of the layer lines. So covering the whole thing in probably 4 very light coats. I'm going to hand sand in between each coat. Probably give about an hour in between coats. I do a very, very light mix. It's mostly acetone, a little bit of glazing putty. A little bit will go a long way. So like I said, 4 coats, then on to sanding. Oh, this stuff gets everywhere. Don't wear something you care about. Wear gloves. And most importantly, wear a respirator with a cartridge for acetone. That stuff's no joke. You only got 1 set of lungs. Sanding is done as it's going to be. It's time to glue the shoulder straps together. I haven't tried it on yet, not in totality at least. I'm going to clamp everything together and glue the shoulder straps on. I'm putting the two pieces together because I want to make sure everything lines up. The shoulder straps are going to be my flex point, and that's how I get this thing on and off. There's not supposed to be a seam here, but again, these are all digital. This is a real world thing, so there's going to be a seam here. I thought maybe I'd be able to glue two sides together and just do the seam on one side, but that's not going to work. Tried that with tape and just ripped the whole thing to shreds. There's not enough flex in this. I made sure I left all the mating surfaces unprimed. So all I'm going to do, dump a bunch of glue and then leave it overnight. See you in the morning. He's all glued, put together. There's not as much flex as I would have hoped. I can put my arms up and slip it in. That just means I'll need help getting it off. So I believe, I can't quite tell exactly where we are yet until I put a coat of primer on. Because the back may need a little more, but I'm using filler primer, and that should help out immensely with what we're about to do. All right, I'm about to go to bed. I came out to make sure I had the white enamel for the morning. Just trying to figure out whether I had to go to the big box store and pick up some enamel or not. And I looked at this thing and I got a couple of problems. Right here, there's a line where the PLA was a little, or the plastic, the PETG was a little off. So I've got a shadow line that goes here and here. It's not so much on this side, but it's right front center. Everything else looks good, and I'm trying to figure out whether, I was sitting there trying to decide whether it mattered enough. And it would literally keep me up at night. So we're going to glazing putty this again and then prime it in the morning. So again, pajamas. I'm out in the workshop fixing a problem. With the glazing putty, it was hard to tell how rough everything looked or how good it was because it's all just a bunch of weird colors. Now that I have a clean and easy to see line, just going to put down some glazing putty, smooth everything out. It's not as noticeable on camera. I could have gotten away with just leaving it. The whole point of it was to do a little better than what I had last time. So in the morning, I'm going to come out, lightly sand it, hit it with primer, and we should be ready to paint by noon. I was going to put him on the mannequin. Shoulder straps snapped trying to get it over him. So we may have to end up doing something different with these straps. We're not there yet, but I have a couple of thoughts. But it's done. I'm very happy with it. Check it out. It's not bad. Suppose I could try and put it on. I can turn my head so getting it on me is easier. The mannequin, on the other hand, he's too rigid. It is what it is. Most clones need help getting dressed or undressed. I have a feeling I will be no different. That's not too shabby. It fits. It's not too loose. I was worried about it being too loose. It's not. The helmet rests a little low. It needs to be right about here. So I'll need to add padding because there's nothing in it. It's just a raw helmet. It does make me feel a little bit like I'm in Saiyan armor, which I find entertaining. But, it's not too shabby. I'm pretty happy with it. If you are interested in seeing the rest of this costume, there's a real easy way to make sure that you don't miss things. Right? We all know what to do. It's a subscribe button about to pop up. All in all, it's not too shabby. I'm very, very happy with it. It does make me have to adjust my posture a bit. This one's a little wide right around the ribs, but I think it has to go over other armor, so it'll be fine. And it actually looks really good, doesn't it? All right. Thanks for making it to the end. I really appreciate that. If you want to see where we're going with this, you know what to do. I'll see you next time.